Dead Marshes. The corpses lie in the swamp, unrotten, seemingly preserved for eternity. You won't hear the calls of birds, and the still air remains undisturbed by the movement of fish in the weedy ponds. It's taken lives. So many lives. Emotions aren't good for war. You see, it was elven pride that fed the Dead Marshes. The Battle of Dagorlad provided its first guests. The marshes would keep receiving new ones thereafter. Today on Fantasy Archive, we embark on a journey deep into the chilling depths of the Dead Marshes. We will spill the elven tea that started it all, uncover the tragic tales of those who met their doom there, and try to understand why the Dead Marshes are so dangerous that even orcs avoid it. Stay tuned as we will also explore Tolkien's inspiration behind this deadly site. The Dead Marshes are wetlands filled with the overgrown herbaceous vegetation. It was filled with the eerie corpses. It was known as the Grey Marshes, an endless network of pools and soft meres filled with watercourses. The Dead Marshes were situated to the northwest of the Moranon and to the southeast of the Emyn Muil. Its story kicks off with the creation of the powerful rings and the epic War of the Last Alliance. In the movies, this war is reduced to a short scene. We witness humans and elves teaming up to take on Mordor's armies near Mount Doom. It's a nail-biting moment when Sauron forgets his deadly mace and reaches out with the hand wearing the One Ring, exposing his vulnerability and almost begging to lose some fingers, which could have been the only way he could lose this battle. In the books, it takes years for the good guys to break into Mordor. It goes more like this: year 3029 of the Second Age, and Mordor has just declared war on Gondor and Arnor, the Númenórean lands. The Last Alliance forms with Gil-galad, the Elf King, and Elendil, the Númenórean King, leading the charge. Gondor's army in the south keep Mordor in check, while these leaders gather massive forces. They all meet up at Weathertop, and then train together with the elves in Rivendell. When they finally march towards Mordor's Black Gate, they get reinforcements from the Woodland Realm, dwarves from Khazad-dûm, elven archers from Lorien, and more troops from Gondor. Although the Sindarin king Mal-galad from Lorien and Oropher from the Woodlands answered Gil-galad's call to war, they weren't fond of the Noldor and marched as an independent army, refusing to serve under Gil-galad's command. Sauron makes a move, burning down the lush green lands of the region to slow down the alliance. This once beautiful land turns into a desert, and even thousands of years later it never recovers, earning the name Brownlands. The Last Alliance armies pressed forward, gearing up for the biggest battle in Middle-earth's history. Oropher and Mal-galad had to wait until Gil-galad's signal, but not wanting to wait for him, they rushed into battle. Unfortunately, they were ill-equipped compared to the Noldor. Oropher was killed, and Mal-galad got pushed back and ended up retreating to the southern marshlands, where thousands of elves met their end. This battle lasted for months. The slain were buried outside of the marshy area, but over time the marshes grew and swallowed the graves, earning the name the Dead Marshes. Upon arrival, Gil-galad and Elendil's combined forces charged in. They crushed Mordor's armies, broke through the Black Gate, and laid siege to Barad-dûr, the Dark Tower. After 7 long years, the evil Sauron finally emerged to face them. It turned into an epic 2-versus-1 showdown for the fate of Middle-earth. Gil-galad was burned alive by Sauron, and Elendil was slain, but together they dealt a deadly blow to Sauron, who lay on the battlefield, either dying or unconscious. Unlike the movie, in the book, Isildur stepped in after the battle's end. With great courage, he removed the ring from the helpless Sauron and took the all-powerful ring. And just like that, the battle for Middle-earth came to a close. In TA 1944, the Dead Marshes were fed a second time. During Gondor's encounter against the Wainriders, men from the east stirred by Sauron. Gondor's army faced an unexpected attack. King Ondahur and his guard was destroyed. Some of his defeated soldiers tried to escape into the marshes but tragically drowned. The Wainriders celebrated their victory, but soon enough, General Eärnil came to defend his king and led Gondor to victory in the Battle of the Camp, ironically pushing the Wainriders into the marshes, where most of them met their end. So, the Dead Marshes population includes elves, Gondor men, and Easterlings. As time passes, the marshes slowly covered the deceased, and many well-preserved bodies could still be seen floating in the water as eerie dead faces. Undecaying corpses? Is it even possible? Well, yes. It is likely the Dead Marshes became a peat bog, and the acidity and lack of oxygen is too hostile for the oxygen and bacteria that break down plants or bones. It is in the Dead Marshes that Aragorn captured Gollum here on February 1st, 3017, before taking him to Mirkwood. The Dead Marshes are most known for when Gollum guided Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee through the marshes as an alternate path where it was unlikely to cross any orcs. The marshes were almost certain death, but Gollum said he had found a way. They entered the Dead Marshes early in the morning on March 1st as part of their quest to destroy the One Ring. The path was lit by strange lights that danced around, which Gollum referred to as candles of corpses. It's likely that those who became captivated by these lights and tried to touch the bodies in the water ended up drowning and joining the dead. Frodo himself became entranced by these eerie lights and tried to reach out to touch the dead faces lying at the bottom of the marshes. Thankfully, Sam was able to break him out of his trance. Gollum explained that the dead couldn't be touched, hinting that he might have attempted something similar in the past, like maybe trying to eat them. Most of the bodies that Frodo and Sam came across in the marshes were Sylvan elves led by Mal-Galad. Anyway, while the hobbits were passing through the marshes, a black rider on the fearsome creature called a fellbeast flew overhead, frightening Gollum so much that he started slipping back into his old way of speaking, which he had almost abandoned after swearing to serve the master of the precious. They finally left the marshes on the morning of March 2nd, 3019. It's a mystery whether we're seeing their real bodies or just a ghostly image of their spirits. Fortunately, our courageous heroes, the hobbits, are nimble enough to tread softly on the marshes' ground. We assume that their guide was expert enough to show them where to step, and they have to keep a keen hobbit instinct to avoid the eerie lights and the treacherous dark waters. Thanks to this, Frodo and Sam managed to make their way into Mordor with relative ease. We also get to see something similar in the 5th episode of The Rings of Power, Season 1. In this episode, Eleanor Brandyfoot's family is depicted passing through the marshes as they move eastward. In this series, the place is referred to as the Grey Marshes, therefore these events occur before the Battle of Dagorlad. It is possible that the strange lights in the Dead Marshes are elven fae or souls. Tolkien never outright explained it, but one plausible theory is that elven faes remain there as houseless elves. Unlike men, whose souls left Arda when their bodies died, elves' souls were bound to Arda until its end. If an elf's body died, its soul would be summoned to the halls of Mandos, where the Valar would re-embody the elf in a hroa, or body that was identical to the elf's previous body. However, if an elf committed evil acts during their lifetime and refused to repent, the Valar could delay the elf's re-embodiment, impose conditions on it, or refuse it altogether. An elf could refuse the summons to Mandos or choose to remain disembodied, but the elf's houseless fae or soul would still be stuck, unable to leave Arda. Feeling a burning desire to stay and keep fighting, they might have ended up getting stuck in the marshes, unable to move on. In Tolkien's own view, he suggested in some of his letters that the portrayal of the Dead Marshes might have been influenced by his own experiences during World War I, as he had witnessed the horrors of some of the war's deadliest and emotionally wrenching battles. Particularly, he mentioned the Battle of the Somme, where he witnessed deceased soldiers lying in the mud where they had fallen. This connection between the Dead Marshes and the grim landscapes of the World War I battlefields was further explored by Tom Shippey in the 1996 documentary titled A Film Portrayed of J.R.R. Tolkien. In a nutshell, the the Dead Marshes can be a source of intriguing interpretations for fans. Some people believe that the eerie lights and faces are not the actual physical bodies of the dead, but rather ghostly reflections. In the real world, marshes are dangerous. There are numerous ways in which you can get injured, drowning being just one of them. However, it is unlikely that the bodies can remain afloat almost at surface level, similar to how it is shown in the Dead Marshes.